Hi everybody, so right now you're looking at the inside of my latest project, which is an old project that I've been working on for a stupidly long time and have somehow not managed to make a lot of progress, even though I have made a lot of progress. But anyway, but what it is a miniature dollhouse, and it is the Duracraft Newberg dollhouse to be exact. And I've got you on this little tiny tripod on the floor, so I'm going to attempt to hold it up. I don't know how well this is going to work, because this tripod is really, like, it's for a cell phone, and so it doesn't really have the capability of holding my camera, my heavy camera, up too well. And you can see the wood stove and some firewood and all the mess in the background. But anyway, so yeah, this is my current project. Just a little background. My dad bought this from our church's fall fair. Probably, gosh, I can't even remember, but it's been like well over 25 years at this point, and I think somebody had already started on the base of it when he bought it, and which the fall fair, it like people from the church and maybe the community, but mainly the church, donated items that would be sold at like a yard sale sort of thing when we would have like our annual fall fair. So this was one of the items. Okay, but I think somebody had started on the base down there, and my dad had started putting up the walls, and the project got put on the back burner. It wound up in the garage at one point, it wound up upstairs at one point, it wound up in the basement at one point, and between the basement and the garage, it had some damage. When I say damage, more like mildew, which really wasn't damage, it was just kind of a mess. And so at some point I had worked on it before, during those transitions to different places around the property, but then it had the mildew on it. Like, I got serious about it in probably like 2005, 2006. I started like getting, like I said, serious about working on it again, and I did a lot of research. I don't remember exactly what all I did specifically to get rid of the mildew. At least I assume I got rid of the mildew and cleaned that all off. But yeah, and then I found out during that whole rigmarole of the mildew issue that Kills Primer existed, which my dad knew about it. I did not. But yeah, somebody or several resources online had talked about it, so I got some Kills Primer, and at the time I thought it was expensive then. Like, I think I spent about $8 for a little tiny can. It's probably like twice as much now, but I did the exterior of it. Just turn this around. Yeah, and so hopefully, and there goes the camera. See, this little tiny tripod does not have the strength to hold up. But hopefully the mildew issue is taken care of. And I think I still have that same little can of Kills Primer left, and so ideally I want to do the interior. I don't know if I will or not, but I may, or at least I plan on doing the interior trim. Like, whenever I put the little window trim up, I'm going to do that in white. And as you can see in this wall right here, it is wonky, it is different. Yes, so a little story about that. Had all the pieces assembled and whatnot, and somehow, I think I had it assembled. I don't know. But anyway, this wall right here went missing at some point prior to 2006 or 2005, and it looked all over it. I mean, like, I think my dad tore up the garage, and I mean, at the time the garage had a lot of stuff. It really has a lot of stuff now, but anyway, looking for it, and of course there's other rooms to the garage too, and I think he went through those. And of course upstairs, well, tried to look upstairs, the basement, yeah, couldn't find any trace of the wall, and at one point I was starting to wonder if I had imagined that I even had the wall. But then I found the sheet that it had been punched out of, so I was like, okay, at least we had possession. I was like, I knew I wasn't imagining the wall being there to begin with, because even my dad remembered it. But again, no sign of it, which is not that unusual for things to just magically vanish on our property. But that's a whole other story, conspiracy, I don't know. Anyway, so, at that point in time, like, I think we got this piece of wood from Hobby Lobby because they had the right measurements. I don't think you could find a little sheet that thin from Lowe's. Yeah, anyway, my dad, okay, another backstory. My dad was like a master woodworker like up until he got to the point where he couldn't really see to use his power tools anymore, but that was like his livelihood. Woodworking was his livelihood, so he has anything and everything in the way of power tools and wood tools and whatnot. So at that point his vision was so bad that he entrusted me to like draw and trace like that pre-existing board that we already had to make this wall, and I tried my best, and I think he stepped in and got part of it taken care of. And he also entrusted me to cut it out since he could not see to do so precisely. But I think, judging by the top of it, I'm pretty sure he managed to cut that out, because I mean, that's a pretty nice cut right there, not for the most part. But you can definitely tell by the windows and the big gapper right there and how wonky that one is, that's where I was left to cut it. And I've said this on a lot of my social medias over the years, but I cannot draw nor cut a straight line to save my life. I cannot follow lines. I don't know what it is. I can take my time. Anyway, it ain't in my capabilities, okay? So, yeah. So I'm gonna have to do a lot of finagling. I've got some plans to, like, I think I'm gonna use either some, popsicle sticks, or I got these little coffee stirrers that I bought off Amazon to fill in the gaps there. And also I need to get me a thing of wood filler too. Yeah, so got some work to do, some patching to do, and then I've managed to lose part of this. Like, I had this completely assembled with the window even, and I don't know what happened to part of it. I found one piece that I'll have to glue back on. At this point I think I'm just gonna make the other piece, which I think is just the roof, like, but it had the window and the trim for the window and everything already attached. I remember doing that when I was like 10. But yeah, so yeah, this has been my obsession lately. And when I was talking about some damage done to it when it was like in the basement or garage, yeah, some mice must have had a field day gnawing at the book. Yeah. Definitely had to use a lot of alcohol to sanitize that. But it still maintained the integrity of the rest of the pages, so yay. Yeah. So let me go back to this. So this is what it's supposed to look like assembled. And I had this whole plan, like, I never really thought about this before. I think originally when I started like getting back into it in like 2006, my plan was to do some kind of like Hogwarts theme and make like a Professor Severus Snape doll, because I love me some Snape. But in the past couple of years I discovered Bentley House Minis on YouTube, and like it just opened a whole new world. Like, Era's channel has opened a whole new world to me of dollhouse miniatures. So what really got my wheels churning was she was working on this spaceship dollhouse thing. I think that's what she called it, a spaceship, where it's like a 1700s ship, but also like futuristic. Anyway, I don't know how well to explain it. If you're really interested or curious about that, go check out her channel. But the fact that she was talking about like taking elements of like old and like futuristic combined, it made me think, oh, steampunk, like that's, you know. I'm not really big into steampunk, but I do appreciate the aesthetic of it, and it just kind of inspired me to like maybe do a dollhouse with like a steampunk vibe to it. And then it also got the wheels turning in my head, where I want to do a vampire dollhouse, or like, you know, maybe more of a Victorian Gothic romantic themed dollhouse. And oh my gosh, this video is already 11 minutes, but that goes on to like another kit that I have. So I have 3 dollhouse kits total. I've got this one, I've got the Duracraft Queen Anne, and then I'm choking, here we go. And then I also have the Real Good Toys Victorious Farmhouse kit, which that's the one, that was my big Christmas present last year, was that kit. And so I've got plans for all of them, kind of, sort of, well, not really for the farmhouse. Anyway, that's a whole other story on that. But then the Queen Anne is a whole other story. But I think I want to make the Queen Anne my vampire dollhouse. And I'm seeing like a lot of the visuals clearly. And even though this has been like the kit that I've been focusing on, I want to get this, like at least the bulk of it, finished before I start working on the Queen Anne. I debated on doing the Queen Anne like with this and just leaving this like this, but this one's been sitting for so long, it needs something. So I'm like, I'll just do the steampunk theme on this. May even, I don't know. And even then, I'm not sure if I really want to do steampunk, but that's kind of like, without having a better term or better clear image, for now, that's just kind of like the idea for it. But that also leads me to the thing of like, how do I want to paint the exterior? Like I'm thinking about for the interior, doing like white and gold, kind of like for a lot of the rooms. And also in regards to the rooms, like I'm trying to decide, because I want to make this room, this area right here, the living room. But then the next room over will have the door. And I feel like the living room should be accessible from the door. But I'm like, but really this would be a better like kitchen area. So the wall right there, I'm like wondering, I'll have to check and see, but I'm thinking if I could, you know, finagle things so that the wall only comes like partway here, and that you have the open, like the doorway, it's like the entranceway, and like have like a hallway, or just zoom into the living room area, and that this can still be the kitchen area. I don't know. But then I like having a lot of like bedrooms and rooms and houses, and this only has like 6 really. But then I'm thinking that like ideally I want to have a bathroom. So I don't think the bathroom should have the stair entry to it. Like that just doesn't make sense. So I'm guessing maybe I should make this the bathroom. This could be like a study, like a library sort of thing. But then that means that the bedrooms would have to be these little tiny places up here, and I want like a nice big bedroom at least. I want at least one big bedroom in this house. But then I'm thinking maybe I should do a bathroom up here or over here. But if you look, there's no, it's funny because like there's no like stairs up to the upstairs, the attic area. So I'm thinking about like doing like old school attic where it has like the door that comes down. And I saw somebody had like an old dollhouse that had like the door that comes down with the ladder that comes down. That's how my grandmother's house was. I remember like in her hallway she had one of those attic doors. But yeah, so that So going back to like the exterior, I don't know how I want to do the exterior, like the color scheme, because like I've jotted down some ideas. Like, so for the vampire one, I want to do like the light pink and like magenta, that kind of vibe for the exterior, you know. Or I said magenta, I meant more like maroon. But this one, I'm just kind of like, ugh. So I don't know if I should do. Okay, so I jotted down some notes, like maybe I should do like a chartreuse green. My battery's about to die. Let me change out my battery real fast. Okay, so talking about the exterior, I don't know if I want to like do like a chartreuse green with like a dark emerald trim on the outside, or I've kind of thought about the light blue and the dark blue, but that seems pretty generic for the house. And let me and then I was also thinking maybe like a light purple or like a lavender lilac color with like a dark purple trim, and I think that one may be the one that I'm leaning more towards. And also because like I'm thinking, you know, when it comes to the farmhouse, I've got it, like, I want each house to have, like, a different color scheme on the exterior. I don't want to, like, have two houses that are, like, the same color. So I've got to figure out what I want to do with the farmhouse also. But here's, like, some images, if they'll work, come in clear from Google image. Like, that's kind of the color scheme I'd like to do for the vampire house, kind of, sort of. But a lot of them, like, I think the model picture was done in the blue schematic. That's just give you an idea what it looks like assembled, like, in color. Yeah. So right now, at this moment, I'm kind of liking the idea of the lilac and dark purple. Okay, and then I don't know. But it's like, again, I said that I've been working on it for years because like I haven't been working on it like for like a solid amount of time. Like I may work on it a little bit for a few days and then not touch it for a couple of years. But I just had a lot of hesitations about it because again, this piece right here, like that set me back a long time because I was trying to figure out, like, at one point I considered ordering a whole new piece for it, and the company had already gone out of business by then, and you could find them on eBay, but they were so expensive at the time. So I was like, no, it ended up being cheaper. I think we spent maybe like $5 at most on this sheet of wood from Hobby Lobby. And then of course with my dad's knowledge and everything and his tools, I was able to, you know, do that very poorly. But let me see if I can turn this around. Oh, hold on. Alright, so this is what it's looking like from the front. Another thing was these little, okay, I remember now, these little pieces right here. This was a big, like, setback because I wasn't sure I had all the trim pieces, and with the addition of the other kit that I bought, it had a lot of trim pieces too, and like I took them out of the box. Like I was going through the kit, and I don't want to make this video much longer, but anyway, when I got that kit, I bought it off of eBay, the Queen Anne one off of eBay, and I was going through it to make sure it had all the pieces, because it said that it had all the pieces, or they thought it had all the pieces, and going back through it again, I can't remember if back then I realized it, but it was missing a sheet that had like all the stair steps, which is not a big deal because stair steps are easy to, you know, make a little replacement. But all the trim in that kit, like, it was just it wouldn't go back in the box, so I had to leave the trim, and then also the bag of shingles and little bits and pieces out of that kit. And it some of that stuff got mixed up with the stuff for this, and so I was kind of like, ugh. And that was another reason why I didn't want to start on the Queen Anne, because I wasn't sure I had all the trim for that. And I was like, well, maybe I should finish this kit up, and whatever's left from this kit, I know that I can use for the Queen Anne. But then there were, like, again, pieces that were not cut. I don't know if, like, when these kits came out, if they were all supposed to be pre-cut to the lengths that are designated in the instruction book or not. Because, like, I know it'll say, like, glue this section piece, and then cut at an angle. And now that's, like, my current issue, is cutting these at an angle, the right kind of angle. I've been using my rotary tool, and I've got a few little saws over here to help with that. But going forward, especially with the Queen Anne, I bought something from Harbor Freight the other day. I didn't even know they existed until last week. But I bought this little tiny table saw. But I won't go into big details about that. But going forward, I'll just use the little table saw to cut at the angles. And yeah. So I think I'm going to wrap up this video for now. One other thing, well, before I do that. It's going in the direction that I need it to go anyway. But it's no secret that you can use scrapbook paper for wallpaper for dollhouses. Like, it's pretty much the ideal thing to do. So I found these paper stacks at Michael's, and I've got like so many paper stacks over the years from like my junk journals. But I found these at Michael's for $5 each, and then I liked them so much I got ideas that I went back and got one of each in addition to these, so I have 2 of each now. But this is kind of like what inspired me to go with like the white and gold. If I can find, I haven't even, these are the newest ones because they still got the little plastic tape. But I was thinking it was a stack. One of these stacks had the, maybe it was one of my other stacks I was looking at. Those are really pretty. So these got like the folds. So I was thinking, yeah, that's kind of what gave me the inspiration. Ooh, this is really pretty. So I don't know if I want to use this for my vampire house or if I want to use it for this house. Wait, there's, okay, I was about to say there's 3 of each sheet in here. So that's another dilemma. And it also would help to know what rooms I want to be what, so that I can choose the appropriate wallpaper for them. I've already like started to mark out here. Okay, but I've already like started to try to like trace out and make templates for wallpaper for these rooms down here. And like I'm not really following the directions exactly as it says to, because like the next step it says is to glue the floor, the second story floor into place. But I think I'm going to hold off on that because I kind of want to get the wallpapering done. And also I plan on doing my own wood flooring like the little, well, I guess you'd call it like paneling, like in real life. This is my dirty floor right here, but make my own wood floors for the dollhouse using coffee stirrers. So yeah, I think I want to, my idea and plan, and we know how well I follow through with my ideas and plans on here, but it's to have like a whole series of videos on this channel about the dollhouse and the miniatures and all that, because that's, again, it's been my obsession lately. So we'll see how that goes. But don't be surprised if you start seeing a lot of dollhouse miniature videos on here, because I've kind of been going through the money with spending for the dollhouse miniatures. I've been spending as much on some of the stuff as people spend for the real life thing, which that was something I was warned of years ago, is that dollhouse furniture can cost more than real furniture, and no joke. But a lot of what I'm buying are kits that I can build myself and customize the finish and all that jazz. So again, don't be surprised if you see a lot of that on here. And some of my recent haulage may or may not be making an appearance, because I love, like, over the years I've loved watching dollhouse miniature videos. Like, it's just the creativity. This is probably the only like crafty hobby that I have where there's like nothing more to it other than just the entertainment value. Like, I love knitting, crocheting, making jewelry, used to love like designing and making clothes, but that's all like, those are all wearable arts. Like, you can make them and wear them. Like, it's not just you make them and then you're done with it. But this list right here, it's just like, you build it, you decorate it, and you just sit back and enjoy it. But then I'm thinking, like, of course you can change up the scenery in it, but then it also got me to thinking, well, it kind of provides me like the perfect combination of like my parents, like blended into one, because my dad being the crafty guy he is, creative guy he is, woodworking business, all that he had over the years, that, and then my mom went to school and studied interior design, so it just, and she loved antique stuff. So, and of course when she was younger, she had quite a doll collection that I inherited. That's a whole other video right there. It wasn't a huge collection, by the way, but still, she had a pretty, for the few dolls she had some, you know, pretty popular dolls in there, let's put it that way. But anyway, I'm just gonna wrap this up now. I did not ever intend for this to be this long, but as usual, here we are. So anyway, I hope everybody's doing well, and thanks for watching.